Welcome, welcome to a thriving Thursday here. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Evan Mizunik. I'm so glad that you're here, either live or on the replay. We're going to cover the six biggest obstacles to real time music making in just a bit. But a little housekeeping here. I'm planning to go live every Thursday here in this group, just sharing some helpful discoveries of what I'm learning, what I'm discovering, what I've overcome, sharing part of my story and part of my insights. And if you're watching this on the replay, just leave a little hashtag replay so I know you're checking it out later and we can connect. Um, but I've learned so much in my path towards making music in real time, from overcoming stage fright to writing out my first solos, to thinking that anything beyond a strict jazz style was unacceptable, to then stepping into being willing to create whole programs on the spot. So I've had a chance to really explore what's worked and didn't work for me, and I want to share that with you and what I discover in my own practice and sharing with other people who study with me. And for me, making music in the moment is the fundamental practice of music making. It has all sorts of other ripple effects for your personal practice, and what you do in the shed, what you do on stage or in the studio for your creativity practice. It is one of the most powerful things you can do. So whether or not you end up becoming someone who improvises in front of other people, there's still so many benefits to you and to those you might teach. So I'm going to just jump in here and cover the six biggest obstacles I've found people encounter when they try to make music in the moment. And this comes from my real-time music method, um, which is adapted from my work and integrates other work from folks I've studied with. So I'm just going to jump in, and if you find something valuable, let me know. And the first one I find is that people tend to want to predict versus anticipate. And that comes from wanting to find something familiar versus explore the unknown. So, what I mean by predicting versus anticipating is predicting is comparing the music that's happening in the moment to your mental model of what music should be or what this music should be right now, versus anticipating. And for me, anticipating is listening deeply to that music in the moment and then trying to imagine where it might go and letting it guide you. So it's a subtle distinction, but if you predict where the music's going to go, you'll stop listening. But if you can try to anticipate and adjust your anticipation moment to moment, you can find that you'll really be guided and carried along. So that's the first big obstacle. The second one I find is crazy making versus building. And that for me stems from an impatience and an insecurity in what's happening and the material you are offering or you are being offered by your musical colleagues in the moment. So by crazy making, I mean throwing out a musical idea and then jumping to another one and then jumping to another one. Now, if that's a compositional choice in the moment to do a very sort of scattered mosaic, commit to that. But most people don't do that as a conscious choice. Most people do that, again, out of insecurity. Um, the opposite of that, which I find is very effective, is building, where you're building on the material you're getting. You're saying yes and, like a good theater improviser would do, to what's happening. So you're taking it and running with it, and you're constructing something in the moment. So it takes some patience, and also it takes an awareness of an audience or listener's mindset. When you're a creator of real-time music, you're often thinking so much about what's happening, and so much richness is happening in your imagination that you can forget that all this sonic information is coming at people in real time, and they need a moment to digest it. So repetition, pausing, breaths, phrasing, motivic development are all great strategies to really work on this practice of building versus crazy making. So that's number two. We got four more here. Number three is clinging is a big obstacle to making music in the moment, and the opposite is changing. That's rooted out of this hardwired desire we have for homeostasis, right? For things just to be the same. So oftentimes, the opposite of crazy making, sometimes we swing on the other end of the pendulum to clinging to what's happening now and to working with it so long that we're afraid of changing or modifying or even just abandoning an idea and pivoting to a new section in the music you're making in the moment. So for me, the opposite of clinging is changing and being willing to embrace change and release and just pivot to where the music's taking you. All right? So those two things might seem like a paradox, but I think you have to hold them in tension. Building patiently on material, but also being willing to change versus clinging on to the music. Number 4, winging it versus drilling. So the fourth obstacle is just trying to wing what you're doing. And I find that's a big obstacle towards explaining what real-time music making is to other people who may not be engaged in that practice. So people who think that improvisation is just showing up completely unprepared are often surprised that you can practice getting ready for improvising or making music in the moment. So that comes from like a assumption that it's a casual approach to improvisation that yields results, when I find that a disciplined approach really opens up the most freedom and the most opportunities. So rather than winging it, learning how to drill patterns, you could call them riffs or licks or different sort of sub ideas you have. We all have these automatic things that we're going to play in the moment and we draw from. And the creativity comes from how we combine and recombine and warp and morph all of those patterns that have become automatic. But you definitely have to lay that groundwork for drilling different patterns that you like and that you want to integrate into your playing. So that's the fourth obstacle, is winging it. And for me, the solution is drilling patterns. Number 5, we've got 2 more to go. Shrinking versus expressing. Shrinking versus expressing. So that fifth obstacle is shrinking away from being very emotionally vulnerable and honest. And that comes from a desire for safety versus willing to be taking a risk. And the opposite of shrinking is expressing. Expressing and being willing just to put yourself out there emotionally and take those risks and be demonstrative and step out when you're not going to know how it will be received, either by yourself or by your teacher or by your student or by your audience, right? So that practice of just being expressive is fundamental to that obstacle, to overcoming that obstacle of shrinking away. Last but not least is freezing. That's the 6th biggest obstacle I see people do. They freeze in the moment. And the opposite, of course, is just flowing. And that's rooted out of a fear and an attitude of being scared versus an inner security that'll free you up to take a lot of risks. So practices of engaging in flow, whether that's using rhythm to buoy you along, whether that's some pre-performance ritual, whether that's doing something and just letting your body get ahead of your brain and just going and flowing. That's another big antidote to that obstacle of freezing. So I covered those obstacles, right? Predicting, crazy making, clinging, winging it, shrinking, and freezing. And for me, the ABCs of that real-time music method, right? I like different patterns like this: anticipating, building, changing, drilling, expressing, and flowing are the fundamental building blocks of making music in the moment. So before I sign off, thank you so much for watching. And I just have an invitation for you, which is I'm launching an app where I'm putting a lot of this material into the app. And it's a trial, so I haven't put this out to any other group, but I wanted to come with you first to an invitation. If you want to be a beta tester of this app, it'll be a subscription. Down the road, the price will increase. But even if you just want to sign up for a 7-day trial, I'd love your feedback and love your interaction on that as I'm putting this together this week. So if that's something that interests you, if you want to be a beta tester of this app and give me some feedback, and are interested in that, just leave a comment app below this video, app, and then I'll send you a private message with information about it. I'm still putting the finishing touches on it, but I'm holding myself accountable just to sharing this first draft with you all here because I love having you here and I want to share what I'm up to. Thank you so much. Just coming with a quick video. Again, every Thursday, I'm planning to come live here, and I'll keep you posted on that. So thanks for watching either today or whenever you come to this. Let me know. Love to interact with you. And have a good one. Have a great Thursday.